I really believe that you're somewhat of more than just a hairstylist. You're like a therapist because you're listening to all kinds of stories that you probably didn't anticipate listening to. Welcome to the Look Like Somebody podcast. I'm your host, Ricky C. Simmons. You know, I want you guys to please hit those subscribe buttons and notification buttons so that we can help spread this message, because that's the object we're trying to accomplish here. We're trying to promote nothing but positivity, but we also tell the truth. You know, we talk about things that may not be pleasant, but then we always keep it real with you. That way you know that we're just real people, you know, and a lot of us have the courage to share things that some may not, but it's all in hopes that we can help someone. And today I got another special guest, man, and I'll be honest with you, I'm excited about her being here because she really had to fit me in. So I'm very, very pleased with that. Blayr, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you're, man, more than welcome. Blayr, I just want to let everybody know basically what Blayr is all about, you know, but in order for us to do that, we're going to have to go back.
Okay.
You all right with that?
I'll allow it.
Okay.
I'll allow it. Let's do it.
We got permission. Well, Blayr, let's back up to the beginning. Where are you from?
I am born and raised Omaha, Nebraska girl. Grew up in Millard and have lived my whole life. I took a minute and headed to where maybe you know, Lincoln. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, I think I heard of that place.
That town.
Yeah, I think I heard of it.
And that school.
Yeah. I'm familiar.
Kind of did some big you did some big
No, I'm just a pebble on your beach. So it wasn't no big things on my end.
No.
So,
okay.
Well,
but yes.
Let me ask you this.
But I returned here.
Okay, so you're back. You're back in Omaha. Well,
yes.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Growing up here, what was that really, what was it like?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I don't know. I think, you know, when you're just growing up, everything just is amazing to you at a young age.
Right.
I think now that I've gotten a little older, there's times where you think like, man, there are bigger, better places out there. And like, what are we doing here when there's prettier places and more interesting places? But I've also come to realize like there's a great appreciation of growing up here, returning here. Mm-hmm. You can go to lots of other places, but it's the people, it's the family, it's a wonderful place to grow up. And so now I'm at a better place. You know, there's times where you wanted to kind of sneak on out of here and go do bigger things, but you can still do big things and live.
I think
here.
You're absolutely correct. And, you know, I think one of the things that I was curious about was, could you share with us what it's like after high school for you here? Because you grew up here, so you kind of have the lay of the land.
Well, definitely it's been awesome for my career because I do hair. So I was able to kind of walk right into having a lot of clients because friends and family live here. But no, I mean, it's just amazing to be surrounded by my family and whatnot and start up a career where you depend on clients and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, like it's again, like I said, it's been, I always had aspirations to run off and become, you know, a singer or do other things. And then my life started unfolding and I'm grateful. But it's just been a good place to raise my kids and do life and journey out, but come back. And I don't know. It's just a good community of people.
I guess where I'm sitting there listening to you and I'm thinking to myself, you know, a lot of times when people listen to the podcast. Yeah. We have people on here that's been through a lot, you know, and I'll be the first to admit I've been through so much that, I mean, it's well documented.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think what I try to do is show the public and everybody that takes time out to check out the podcast. Yeah. I basically want them to know that normal, everyday people from the outside looking in.
Yep.
They go through things as well. You know, it's not just people that have been put on a pedestal at one time for whatever reason.
Right.
And I was kind of interested in knowing, has there been any adversity in your life?
Absolutely not. Just kidding. That is 100% a lie. And first off, like, I can't even begin to imagine to walk the road that you walked, where things were public and you know, learned and fell down and whatever in front of others. And I got to do those kinds of things with less people watching. But what I have learned doing hair for about 22 years, I remember being so naive starting out. And people would tell me their troubles and traumas or problems or things that they were dealing with, and I would try my hardest to meet them where they were, or even better, like, I thought I needed to take on their pain and stuff, because it wasn't anything I understood or knew about, because I kind of lived a sheltered life. And so I thought, wow, like, I could really help them if I take their problems on and try to, like, feel everything. And then you learn quickly through the years, you can't do that. And that is meant for them. And I lived in my life where things, you know, my naiveness and everything kind of started to slip away when you just live. And circumstances happened and things happened. And then you realize, like, you cannot, it's meant for them. You cannot try to take their pain. The best thing you can do is listen. And so that evolution of my career, that paralleled my own life of going through my struggles. And it started out with, you know, I got married. And so then I could finally relate to people in marriages, and all those clients that would, you know, talk about those things. And then, you know, then it became the struggle to have children and, like, infertility. And when you're a hairstylist and stuff, like, you have to put your face on and show up and make them happy. And you're on stage while you're hurting and struggling. And there'd be people that would sit down in my chair and they were just getting pregnant so easily. And I'm over here fighting for my life to have a baby. And you just have to be so excited for them and all that. And then, you know, we lost just loved ones, and you slowly start to realize that, like, wow, like, I now understand why holidays can be hard and Mother's Days can be challenging and Father's Days and all those times where I'd be like, why aren't people excited for the holidays? And why is there, you know, like, why wouldn't you want to get together with your family? Like, you slowly start to realize, like, okay, I think I just experienced life in a different way. And now, like, you know, different hardships that have come to my door, it's like, oh, I get it now. Like, I feel things a little different, and my naiveness is slowly going away, which I'm grateful for, because then it's like I can really relate to people that need it.
You know, that's a good point you brought up, and I'm guilty. I got to be the first to admit I'm guilty. I don't have a lot of care for holidays.
Yeah,
you know, I really don't. I mean, I know they're real, and I know they're important, but to me, they're just another day. And that's something that I have grown accustomed to being comfortable with. But, you know, usually I spend my holidays alone. And that helps me not be a bearer of, or what you call it, the Debbie Downer type. You know, I'm not the guy that's sitting there looking like somebody stole my last meal.
You
know, so I'm glad you brought that up because that's a valid point. And I think a lot of people suffer in silence.
100%.
But they don't want to admit it publicly.
Yeah.
And the fact that you are admitting it, and I'm willing to admit it, hopefully it'll make it easier for others to admit it too.
Yeah.
I think it's important, though, that we face things.
Yes.
And get past them. Like I said, I'm still not a holiday guy.
Yeah.
But what I don't do is I don't discourage anyone else from being.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can relate to what you're saying.
Right.
And for you not to know that, you had to learn that kind of on the fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be kind of eye-opening.
Like, I'll be honest, like this last Mother's Day, now I'm a mother to twins that are 10-year-old girls, but I'm a single mom now. Now I've gone through divorce, and it was a roller coaster of emotions that I didn't expect. I didn't anticipate. I thought it was going to be this beautiful day of fun and celebration. And I remember being married and being let down and being like, crying because, somebody didn't do what I wanted, and just expectations that you don't think you have. And then the day shows up and you're so let down. And in all reality, like, it's just you letting yourself down.
Correct.
But this one, I just think it's the hardest and the bravest thing is to just truly expose your feelings. And I don't know why the hardest to expose those feelings to are like your family and the closest people to you.
Right.
And so this year when I was struggling on that day, I openly broke down in front of my immediate family. And I just said, I don't know how my life got here. And I don't know, what to do, but I'm not okay. And I got the most healing hug from my brother that, I don't know when the last time I got a genuine hug, from him instead of just in passing kind of hello and goodbye. And so that has been just the most ultimate lesson to myself is just your vulnerability. And I'm the first to put on my happy face, giggle. Right. I love to giggle. I love to have a good time and laugh and put humor out there first. Right. Because that's just easier for everyone else.
Right.
That's easier. I want to be around people. And like you were saying, you don't want to.
Yeah. I don't want everybody to go here he come with all this negativity and he wants to pour negativity or he want to bring the day down.
Right.
I don't want to be that person.
But also it's the hardest thing is to let people around you know that you're not okay.
Right.
But it's the best thing because then you're able to open yourself up and get the help that you really need.
I think being vulnerable, I love that point. Being vulnerable is not easy, especially in today's society because it almost comes across as a sign of weakness.
Oh my gosh.
And people tend to pounce on that. But I think I agree with you. I think being vulnerable actually helps you.
Yeah.
And it helps you get past some things that otherwise you would just stuff them.
Sure.
And deal with them, as we say, I'll deal with that when the time comes.
Yeah. And that time will come. Yeah. And it's never going to be good when it bubbles
and the time
up.
is terrible. It always happens at the worst time for me anyway.
Yeah.
But one thing, Blayr, I do say this. When you like you said, you've been doing hair for 20 plus years. Mm-hmm. I can only imagine some of and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I really believe that you're somewhat of more than just a hairstylist. You're like a therapist because you're listening to all kinds of stories that you probably didn't anticipate listening to.
Well, and that's the whole thing is realizing in your everyday life, how many times are people reaching out and just touching you and hugging you, or a client sits down in my chair and I will maybe not even know them if it's their first appointment or whatever, but I'll put my hands in their hair and we'll start talking and I'll do a consultation and tell me what you want with your outcome and where, you know, and there are so many people walking around that haven't had contact with another person. And so these walls that people have up slowly kind of melt away because you are in their personal space. Mm-hmm. And so then when there is trust and comfort and all the things that you establish in one hair appointment, they're also going to start revealing things. And it's always way beyond hair. It's how they want to feel. It's who they want to be that they might not be right in that moment.
Right.
And then when you're done with their hair, you've helped them see parts of themselves they didn't see before.
Yes.
Or you have shown them things they've never considered. And then talking through all kinds of things, like to just mark out that chunk of time for themselves and get to just, you know, focus on them. And
it sounds like to me on the outside looking in, it sounds like it's a way for your clients to push the pause button on life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because when they get out of your chair and start their vehicles to go,
life happens again.
Life starts back going. So,
yes.
I mean, I think it's really, really important that people understand that anybody that you can talk to that you're comfortable with.
Yes.
You know, I think it can't hurt.
Right.
You know, it may not solve all your problems, but I think it would at least begin the thinking process of how to potentially deal with it.
I always say that, like, it's just wild when you can either write out what you're feeling or hear yourself describe what you're feeling, because being trapped inside of your head is such a dangerous place.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. When it's you and you alone,
right,
and you don't allow anybody else in, it can be a very restricted, scary place.
And you know, something just popped in my mind was when you were saying that is, in today's society, this is what I see now. Mm-hmm. You may see something totally different, but it seems like just the art of conversation has taken a serious hit.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
if you don't know them in advance, conversation is going to be very restricted.
Very much so.
Yeah, I mean, and I just noticed that because, like, growing up, you could randomly start a conversation with a person.
Right.
And there was no offense taken.
Yep.
Well, today, me personally, I see it. I don't actually go through it, but I see a lot of people trying to be nice people.
Yeah.
And they're met with a lot of opposition. Like, you know what, man, I ain't really trying to talk to you right now. I mean, I got things to do. I'm on my way over here and da-da-da-da-da.
Yep.
The world's,
can't be bothered.
Yeah, the world's falling apart, and I'm trying to.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel kind of bad about that, because even, like, for example, going to, like, say, a convenience store. Mm-hmm. And no offense before I say this to the younger people, but a lot of the younger people at the counters, a lot of people at the counter that are, I would say, 20 and under.
Okay.
They almost make me feel like I'm inconveniencing them to spend my money.
Right.
Now, I don't know if anyone else feels that ever, but the good thing for me is it doesn't really offend me because I understand it.
Yeah, right.
But I have seen people in front of me in line take offense.
Yeah.
You know, like,
you never know. That whole phrase, like, you never know what other people are going through, walking through, going through in that day, that moment. And it costs you nothing to be nice, to be kind, to offer out a compliment, to, like, it's like, if I could just release the things that I like, that are kind, that I think about, you know, when I'm walking around, like, it just can be amazing what that could do. But people are so self-absorbed, trying and hanging on by a thread, whatever. I know I am too. But.
And I know people are going through things.
But
and I'm not trying to downplay the seriousness of what they're going through.
Yeah.
But it's like, another example I use is, I was raised in the South, and it was certain things that, like, my dad taught me that I still live by today.
Yeah.
One of them is, like, if I'm speaking to someone much, much younger than me, and they ask me a question like, did you find everything you were looking for? I'm like, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
You know, or yes, sir. Holding doors.
Yes.
You know, if I'm walking through a door and I see somebody coming behind me that may be on a walker or maybe walking, having trouble walking.
Common courtesy.
Yeah, I'll just hold the door for them.
Yeah.
And the look on their face is like I'm an alien or something. Like, who does that anymore? You know.
Right.
And I did it at the post office the other day, and this lady says, "A gentleman," and I was like, "Well, yes, ma'am. That's how I choose to look at that."
Yes.
You know, but it was just the fact that she acknowledged it.
Yes.
I had went to department stores where I held doors for people, and they act like I work for the department store. You know, walk. You know, I'm sitting there holding the door. And they're like, look at me, and then they just walk on in and keep talking to whoever they're talking to or who they're on the phone with.
Yeah.
You know, and I kind of smile and chuckle. I was like, I guess they think I'm an employee or something. I don't work here. I'm just trying to hold a door for you.
Right.
But our society is kind of unique like that, and I think it's being slowly taken down.
Right.
I agree with you. It doesn't cost much to be nice.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost much to treat people with respect. But I guess that's kind of old school.
Well, I think we need it probably more than ever. So keep doing it, and I'm going to
I'm never going to change, but I do end up laughing a lot.
Yeah. Oh,
but
yeah.
I know people might say, that dude must be losing his mind. He's by himself, but he's laughing. Well, I'm laughing because I don't see what's such a big deal about being nice.
Right. Well, and I mean, I do. I don't find a stranger probably anywhere. My kids hate that. Also, it's a passed down trait because I remember being the kid of the mom that talked to everyone, and now I am that. But I'm so grateful because it is, like the human connection and just interacting.
You know, something I just thought about too was I don't take anything for granted. And when in my daily travels, just the fact that I can go from A to B unassisted a lot of the times, I think about the people that can't.
Oh, I know.
I mean,
that would be a challenge.
It could, just think if your health fails. Mm-hmm. Now you're in a hospital, or you're maybe compromised, or it's just your mobility.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thankful that those things haven't happened to me to this point in life.
Right.
And I don't take them for granted because I know any day something can happen.
Well, have you ever had surgery or had anything where you're held up in the hospital bed? Or
I spent one night in the hospital behind a kidney stone, and you'd have thought that I was in there for a month. But when I, like the next day when they said, well, we got to run some more tests, I'm like, well, you better run them by noon.
Yeah.
Because I'm out of here. So
out.
It makes me appreciate.
Wow. That
help.
Is all? That's all?
Yeah.
You have, okay.
That's it.
Well, I haven't had any surgeries, but I have Crohn's, which is a stomach disease situation.
Okay.
And it has gotten me into the hospital quite a few times. And I know when I am in the severe, excruciating pain that I am in, I just, it's wild how quickly your life is turned upside down, and you just are like, I can't remember what it feels like to be healthy. What I'd give to just run across the room or get in my car and run errands and have my, life back that I, was complaining about. And then it doesn't take long once you're on the other side of it to then be like taking it all like for granted again, like
Correct.
you're saying.
Yeah.
So to be dependent on other people I think it's struggle.
Tough. It's tough. Like, a lot of people ask me stuff about, in my younger years, I participated in sports. Mm-hmm. And they're like, man, have you had a knee replacement?
I know. I'm so impressed.
And I'm like, well, first of all, no, I haven't. Don't be jinxing me because I'm not trying to have one. But I will say this. I was allergic to contact the whole time I was playing sports. So I'm in a sport that's a contact sport.
There you go.
But I'm avoiding people.
Yeah.
So I think that's paid big dividends later on. A lot of my friends are having, knee replacements, shoulder replacements. So far, so good. I'm
so impressed.
Well, I'll tell you what.
God blessed you with some fast legs.
Yeah, I can get out of people's way. Now, there are people today that don't believe that I can actually, once upon a time, run.
Yeah.
But especially because of the way I walk.
Oh, no.
You know, I walk at a pace.
It's a little revealing.
Yeah, I walk like a turtle. I mean, I had a turtle actually pass me the other day and looked at me like, dude, get over in the slow lane.
But it's like a turtle swag, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's okay. It's an okay little walk you got.
It's one of my protections that I got in place so that, like, when I'm at a grocery store.
Yeah.
You know, and I know there's somebody in a hurry.
Uh-huh.
You know, I anticipate that, so I get out of their way so that they can continue on being in a hurry.
That's right.
Because usually I don't go very many places where I got to be in a hurry.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
I have as you know, I have a business partner.
Yeah.
And I think she lives really close to you.
I think she does.
Yeah.
Too.
Her name is Kim Kelly.
I kind of like her.
Yeah, you kind of like her? Yeah, she's good people.
She is.
But she's real quick to tell me about how slow I walk.
Oh, that's so rude.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. I don't even know why she does that. I mean,
I'll talk to her.
Yeah, please talk to her.
I'll have a word
just
with
tell her, hey, it's just a precaution that I put in place to get out of important people's way.
Is she a fast walker?
Oh, man, click, 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 click.
She's on a mission.
I'm thinking a couple of times, I just like, I'm glad I know where we're going.
Yeah.
I'll meet you there. You know, and then she'll look back like I'm holding up progress. But that's just me giving my business partner a hard time. But
we love Kim.
Yeah, she's good people, and I always laugh when we start walking because I know what's going to happen.
Oh my gosh!
Click, 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 and then and the turtle behind her. So. But we done got it down to an art now.
That's good.
Yeah, we're
compromise.
We're making progress.
I like that. That's awesome. Well, I will say it's fascinating. Again, from doing hair, I'm seeing people from all ages, and so I have now graduated to the insanely busy in life. Can't think for yourself. Always running from one thing to another because of these kids. And they've got crazy social lives and activities. But I see the flip side of the people that have the quieter lives now because that chapter's done. Kids are grown, married, having grandkids. And it is this interesting dynamic of like where I'm living the crazy busy. And so I can empathize with, again, like back to Mother's Day, I had one that, was super sad because she's a mother and wasn't included in things because she has a daughter-in-law that's a young mom and she wanted to be celebrated and she's exhausted and she wants the day off and she's just like looking for her reprieve. And then you've got the older mom that just wants the love and attention and to be around everybody too, but everybody's kind of so it's interesting too, like the fast-paced life and the quieter, slower pace, and there's always something going on that you're always wishing for something else.
I don't know if this is even possible, but I just want to throw it out there. Just
do it.
Okay, I wish one of my wishes that I wished I could impose on society, which probably won't happen, is I wish we could all slow down a little bit and appreciate things more.
Agreed.
And not take stuff for granted. I'm not saying you need to go out here and be, like trying to save the world, but just individually, if we could slow it down just a little bit so that we can acknowledge what's really important.
Right.
Because I've heard these stories too where time passes, it never stops. And then you get to this point and you're sitting there having a conversation with someone and they bring this one up. Man, if I would have knew then what I know now, I would have did this. That to me is like, man, you missed a golden opportunity because you can't make more time.
No, you cannot.
And it's kind of like the river runs one way. You can't make it go in reverse, so you can't make time go in reverse. And I'm very, very cautious of that because for so long I was that guy.
Right.
Oh, man, I was always supposed to be somewhere yesterday.
Yep.
And that was the pace that I had.
Right.
A lot of it was through my addiction. A lot of it was through the trials and tribulations that I had put on myself with my choices. But now that I've had an opportunity to calm down a little bit, I really look at life a lot different. I enjoy peace.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people really understand just how valuable peace is.
Yeah. You know, the health that peace brings instead of chasing chaos, and when you start to kind of heal and learn.
Right.
But that comes with going through hard times.
Right.
And it's going through, like, I am in therapy and I love it. And I love when I get little morsels of things that just I carry forever. And it's like, I have lived a little bit, and there's plenty of things that I was sitting one day in therapy just saying, like, I just want to forgive Blayr of this chapter in my life and that chapter of my life, because, like, she didn't stand up for herself, and she stood so quiet, and she didn't know what she wanted, and then when she did know what she wanted, she never spoke up about it. She didn't want to ruffle any feathers. She was a people pleaser, and she suffered in silence, like so many people, and the fake persona. And I'm like, I just right now want to, like, learn how to, like, forgive Blayr of those times.
Very important.
And my therapist changed it, because she's like, that's pretty heavy, to forgive somebody. But what if you change the word to, like, maybe could you just, like, be more compassionate to that Blayr? Could you love her in a way she needed at that time? And also, can you not be so hard on a person who made the best choices for her at that moment with the knowledge she had then? And don't put everything you've already learned now onto that Blayr, because she didn't know that. And same for Ricky.
Absolutely.
You didn't know what you didn't know.
Had no clue.
But, like, now you do, and I think what you do with the lessons you've learned is so beautiful, of, like, going out and helping anybody maybe just cut the chapter a little shorter.
Correct.
Than what you maybe dragged it out to be.
Oh, yeah. I drug it out way too long. Yeah, I totally agree.
But you arrived where you were supposed to be. And maybe, and so I think your wealth of knowledge, even though it's through times where you're, like, that shame and stuff is a tricky place. But you got through it, you learned, and now I love that you're, and that's all I hope to do too, with the things that I've gone through, is just to know that, like, I'm not going through it alone. I think the more you talk about it, as hard as it is, embarrassing as it is, shameful, all the things, the more you talk about it, the more, like, you either give somebody else the permission to also talk about something that they're embarrassed about, struggling with, scared about, terrified. But then you also hear, like, oh yeah, like, we dealt with that too. Or, I know somebody who could help you through that. Like, that's not that big of a deal. Like, it's interesting what we in our own minds create monsters that somebody else doesn't have that emotional attachment or emotional, like, baggage to a certain topic that we've, like my finances. I hate money and finances, and I'm so shameful about certain things that I've done and whatever. But, like, when you start talking about it, then you're going to find somebody that's like, that doesn't scare me.
Right.
Let me help you with that. Like, it's okay. Like, you're terrified, you're scared, you're mute about it because, like, that fear paralysis is real and scary. And if you can't have the emotional, courage to release it, and it stays inside of you, then it just becomes a terrifying monster. But the second that you can open your mouth, let it out, and get some help, get somebody that's like, oh yeah, that's no big deal.
Right.
It's so liberating.
I think a lot of times I've seen situations where people feel like they're going to be prejudged.
Yes.
And that brings that fear you're talking about to where they're like, nah, I ain't going to share that with them because they might go back and tell somebody else. And
Yeah.
then everybody be looking at me a certain way. Well, see, the one thing I always try to encourage people to do is to look at things from a different perspective. First of all, you can be shamed or whatever, but if someone wants to know something about you, they got they probably been out a little while now. I think it's called Google.
Oh my gosh.
They can figure out or find out anything they want to find anyway.
Right.
So what I chose to do was, since I know Google was an option, I just tell them myself. So when they do take their valuable time and Google me, then they're like, man, they really get kind of pissed because it's like, man, he already told us that.
Yeah.
You know, and
I love that.
The burden is gone because everybody knows the little secret I thought I was trying to hold on to and didn't want nobody to know. Well, they know anyways.
And there's power in just standing in and owning who you are.
That right there is what I want people to really understand. There is power in that. And it has helped me over the years really, really put my life in perspective.
Right.
Now, I'm not proud. Don't take it that way. I'm not proud of all the bad choices.
Right.
But the fact that I've owned them publicly.
Correct.
And I continually throw myself under the bus, it doesn't have the same impact when someone comes up and go, man, you've been locked up before? I'm like, before? I did it 4 times. I had to make sure it was real.
That's right.
You know,
one wasn't enough.
I can make it a joke.
Well, sure.
And it doesn't have the same sting.
Exactly.
As if someone say, hey man, you've been locked up. And I'm like,
because
how'd you know that?
Because you stopped judging yourself.
Correct.
So then you take the power away of someone else judging you. And that's a hard thing to get to. But once you do,
it
then
makes life simpler.
Well, yeah. And then you can turn around and help others.
Well, see, I always tell people this too. I like to tell myself that I'm a fairly intelligent guy, but I'm not smart enough to do complicated. So I just keep my life really simple.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important in today's world. Just keep your life simple, man, because all these geniuses out here that think they know everything, then they realize they don't. Then you got to deal with all this stuff all over again.
Right.
So keep it simple. Do what you can do. You know, ask for help for what you can't do.
Right.
And then keep it moving.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I think that's very important. And it sounds like you, after doing what you do for the last 20 plus years, I think you're qualified to be a counselor too.
Well, thank you. Do I get a certificate? Can I hang it on my wall?
We can make that happen.
I always feel like I should probably put a disclaimer on my door of like, take this advice at your own leisure and do not get lawyers involved. But I know it's, I think I've grown to appreciate the art of listening more than trying to, like I said, like solve someone's problem. Most of the time, people just want to be heard.
Right.
They just want to be heard. They want to be validated. And they don't need you to solve anything.
No.
They just want to be seen. And I think so many people are walking around just numb and invisible and, might have lots of people around them, but are completely alone.
Correct.
And if I can provide 2 hours of somebody sitting in my chair where they get to be their complete, authentic selves, like that's priceless.
Oh, absolutely. I was sitting there thinking about like social media. I know it's a big part of our society, and I'm not against social media. I use it myself, but a guy that I call like a little brother, man, he posted something the other day. And it really resonated with me. And it went, I may not have the wording correctly, but the meaning I got from it was forget about being positive and happy on social media, but focus more on being positive and happy in real life.
Right.
I just think that's important. I mean, the good thing for me about that post is I actually do.
You apply that already.
Yeah, I apply it anyway,
exactly.
but I can see where some people may actually use social media to what we used to call perpetrate fraud.
Oh my gosh!
It's like I'm happy, and then when they turn the camera off, then they're miserable.
Exactly. I think, as we like to call it too, it's just the highlight reel of like everything good.
Correct.
You know about like reels of maybe all your best plays and moves and everything. Like, of course, everybody loves a compilation of everything amazing you've done. Right. And you look top notch. And that's where I take to social media a little differently. And I'm just raw and honest. Yeah. And I have launched now twice, I think, my podcast From the Chair with Blayr. Okay. And I do everything on my own. So it's in hibernation again because, life is lifing. Well,
but before you go further, how does people tune into that?
Well, you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere, honestly, I think. And it is all the old episodes are there still.
And the name of it again is?
From the Chair with Blayr.
Y'all better go check that out.
Stories from the chair.
I bet you do get some pretty interesting stories.
Oh, you have no idea. I want to mic everybody. And, but then also, I don't want to harm their personal private time. Correct. Where they get to speak so candidly, but it's just for me like the life lessons I've learned in my perspective of everything is what I'm planning to do with that. But when I take to social media, since I'm not doing my podcast episodes, I kind of treat it like that. And it is all the things that like I'm personally struggling with. And I hear so many times where people are so sick of every perfect thing their children have done, every perfect thing they've done, the magical trip they went on with their spouse, and proclaiming, their love for one another and all the things that are the best of the best. But it's like, but you don't see, that mom hiding in the closet, bawling her eyes out because she just wants a minute from her children that won't leave her alone, or the car rides, driving around town because they just had a fight with their spouse and they don't know if they should stay in the relationship or leave it. The moments of like being so alone and terrified because they've heard that a loved one is struggling with an addiction and they don't even know where to begin on how to help them or do all the things, like all things that, these make me emotional because I've had all those moments. Yes. Where you're in the shower and you're trapped in your own thoughts and you're scared, of a certain date in the month because there's a bill coming and you've got little kids' mouths to feed and activities to provide for, and you are just making sure you're enough in all the ways, and you are scared that you're yelling at your kids too much, but it has nothing to do with them and everything to do with the weight of everything else you're trying to carry and just the exhaustion. And so it's not abnormal for me to open up my phone and shed a few tears and talk about how like you can go through life and laugh your butt off and giggle and have fun, but also be carrying around a broken heart. And sometimes it just seeps through and you could be laughing so hard and then all of a sudden you're bawling. And I just want anybody that's like watching me talk candidly about the highlights of what my kids have done over the weekend and then the things that also broke my heart, that if they can't talk to somebody, at least maybe they can watch someone who isn't trying to BS them and isn't trying to like make my life look far more perfect than everyone else's. And I have a lot of really good, beautiful moments, and I love sharing that too. But also, like, my whole like theme of this chapter in my life is like, I just don't want anyone to ever feel alone. And so if I can talk about something that I'm scared about, struggling with, crying in my car about, like, I want to talk about that so that they feel open to reach out to me, talk to someone around them that they feel safe with, or at least just know that they're not alone.
I want to ask you to do a really big favor. Would you please share how people can reach you? I mean, whether social media contacts or whatever. Could you share that with them? Because I think that's very important.
I am mostly on Instagram, and that is Hair by Blayr, and that's HAYRBYBLAYR. because my mama decided to spell my name a little differently, so we had to make it all crazy. So on Instagram, it's at Hair by Blayr, and then also I have the Instagram page of From the Chair with Blayr. But that's your best way to watch my daily content.
I gotta say this: you're brave.
Oh, thanks.
You're very brave because you just made yourself very vulnerable to the public, and I think it's going to help tons of people. I want you to know that I'm proud of you, and I want you to continue whatever it is you got going on. I want you to keep it going. Yeah. I know sometimes you have to take breaks. I get that,
right.
But I admire your courage.
I appreciate that.
And seeing that's something, being vulnerable is just what you just done.
Yeah.
To me. That's the way I took it because, people are going to look at things how they look at things, and we can't control that.
Right.
But you know what? Blayr is going to be better for it.
Yeah.
And Blayr is going to help people in the process of being better.
Right.
So I just think you validated the reasoning behind being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I'm proud. I mean, I'm proud that you did that because I think that's so important because you're right. There are so many people hiding behind fake and false narratives.
It's so exhausting.
I mean,
it's tiring.
It's kind of like lying to me. Mm-hmm. Lying, you can tell a lie to a person, and then you can tell a lie to another person. But after a while, it gets hard to keep them lies straight. Right. What lie did I tell Blayr? And what lie did I tell such and such?
Who's got time for that?
Right. Keeping your life simple.
Right.
And accepting life on life's terms. And also, the biggest thing for me is, and this was my naiveness, I didn't want to believe that their evil was as big as it was, or is, I should say, in our society. I didn't want to believe that. I thought evil was only in that little world of addiction that I lived in. Yeah. But once I got a little handle on my addiction, I'm realizing that evil is everywhere, and it's on steroids. I mean, it's lifting weights. It's getting stronger. Yeah. So,
and it can be hidden behind faces that you think.
And some of these people that I have recognized it through really should consider acting careers. Because they're very good at hiding it. Yeah, and that's and if that's your thing, that's your thing. But man, it would be such a relief if you could just let that go.
Right.
And to me, that's what I get from you. You put yourself out there and you make yourself vulnerable. And even though it's helping you, it's going to help so many others. Right. And I think that's a big part of why I stay up under the bus because I want people to know. Yeah, I got a lot of positive things going on in my life, but I will never forget what led me to it.
Right.
And it's not reliving the past, it's sharing the past to help others.
Right.
And a lot of people are trapped where I used to be trapped.
Right.
So I want to help them, like you say, shorten that period.
Yeah.
Because people dying out here.
Yeah. Yeah. And they don't have to.
And don't have to.
They don't have to.
Do not have to. So I'm really proud of you right now.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, I really am.
I am such a firm believer too of when you're open, vulnerable, put yourself out there and getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, which is somewhere I've lived for the last few years since divorce and all of those things. God puts all the right people in your life.
Correct.
And you, for certain, are one of those people.
Well, thank you, young lady.
I am so grateful the one random day that I ran into you, met you for the first time, and I walked right up to you and I said, I want to do what you do.
Yeah, well.
And you were like, ma'am, sit down,
Well, I'm honored that you said that, first of all. But, a lot of times, Blayr, it's one thing to say it and it's another thing to do it. And you're actually doing it. I mean, if you only had a clue how many people walked up to me before I met you saying, hey, I want to do what you do. And then next week I see them on the news. Yeah. I'm like, man, you can't do what I do and make the news for the wrong reason.
Right. It's like, what are they making the news for?
Yeah, I'm like, come on, man.
Not the good stuff.
Now you're in a high-speed chase. last week.
Well, listen, my kids might make me go postal. We'll see. It's to be determined still.
I don't think you're going to have no problem because I have seen enough, and you've earned my trust. Well, and I believe, and I believe that if you really want to do something, I believe you can do it because you've shown me that. I mean, I don't understand how a person can go through all the stuff that you've went through.
Yeah.
And this isn't all of it.
Right.
This is just a tip of the iceberg, and you're still got the desire to keep going.
Right.
I've seen people quit for much less.
Yeah, I've heard this.
Yeah.
It's interesting when you just don't know that, I just stopping and failure and giving up and being in bed all day or what, like those just aren't options for me that I've ever considered. And then, but to have like other people kind of remind you that isn't typical, it does kind of make you realize like, okay, then let's just keep this going. We're on a mission.
Right.
It doesn't stop here. I'm ready to endure what I've gone through, to help others. And
well, I'm gonna put a Rickyism on you. And
here we go.
But you earned it. Trust me. I want you to listen real closely to this one. You officially now, your quit button is broken.
That's right.
You can't quit. I took your quit button away from you today.
I like that.
So
thank you.
You got to keep going now.
Yep.
Because I'm watching.
I know.
Yeah, I'm watching. You know, and my reasoning for taking your quit button is because I don't think you need it.
No.
I don't see the value in you having a quit button. Mine broke a long time ago, and Amazon wouldn't send me a new one, so I started collecting other people's quit buttons.
Well, thank you for taking that for me.
I'm really proud of you, and that's my way of saying I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Because a lot of times that's another thing. When you go out and make yourself vulnerable to help others, we are not quick to say, I'm proud of you for that, or congratulations for that. Now, if you go out and do something really negative, oh, man, we got plenty of things to say about that.
Sure.
But when this is just some advice I want to give you going forward. As long as you're trying to help people and your heart's in the right place, even if you don't get the credit you deserve, just keep doing it.
Right.
Don't do it for the pat on the back.
Right.
Be like me. I pat myself on the back.
There you go.
People may not agree with that concept, but hey, if I don't believe in me, why should anyone else?
Right. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is keep doing what you're doing, even if you don't even get acknowledged for it.
Yep.
Just keep doing what you're doing, because a lot of people are listening. They won't touch like, or they won't make a comment, but they're still watching. Yeah, and they're waiting. Unfortunately, you got a certain handful that are waiting for something to happen that's not favorable.
Sure.
That's the nicest way I can say that.
Right.
So I'm just asking you to never quit. And besides, you can't now. You can't anyway. I got your quit button.
You took it.
You know, Blayr, I want to ask you a quick question too, is what really motivates Blayr?
Ooh. Well, my children. It is wild becoming a mother, parent, just seeing little pieces of yourself walking around out there. And you just want to make them proud. And I'm just motivated because I don't know, there is something in my gut and my soul that a higher being put there that just keeps me going and trusting and blindly just knowing that like all of this is for a reason, for a purpose, and I haven't gotten there yet. So we're just working towards what I'm supposed to do. So I'm motivated by God, by my children, and I don't know, just people.
I think it's important that you just remember one thing. You're helping people. Just put that in the back of your mind. You're helping people. You may never know who you're helping. And I got so many examples I can pull from, but The one I use mostly is when I walk into, like, say, a department store or a grocery store, and a person that I have no clue who they are come up to me and say, "Hey, man, I really appreciate your speech."
Yeah.
And it catches me off guard because, first of all, I don't know who they are.
Right.
You know, and I don't know where I spoke, and they may have heard me.
Right.
But, you know, that's the little reward
yeah.
that I seem to get the most pleasure from. I mean, I love what I do. Don't misunderstand me.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell that you love what you do as well. But I also want you to understand that some of the rewards are going to come in some of the strangest ways.
Yes.
You know, it may be a client coming to your chair, mm-hmm. and you said something to them, and it might be years later.
Yep.
You're somewhere out shopping or whatever, and you run into that client, and they just thank you. Mm-hmm. And you don't even know what they're thanking you for.
Right.
So those are the type of things I want you to understand, that those are part of the rewards as well.
Right.
So there's more, you have way more motivation than you know.
Yeah.
So you just got to give yourself a little credit.
Yeah.
Take a little pressure off yourself.
Right.
And just do it as it comes.
Right.
Don't force it. Just let it come naturally.
And I think too, like in these last chapters of going through a divorce and being a single mom and running a business and trying to juggle everything, it's incredible the people that have stepped up and helped out. And those are always interesting, different people than who you would expect.
Right.
Those are neat moments too.
Correct.
Of like when you sit and think like these people are here for me no matter what. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, who's this person that entered the picture that I did not see coming, that like put out a fire for me? Right. And all I can think about is I'm not in a place right now where I can help financially someone or, support this or do things like that I want to. I can't wait for that moment when it's my turn to hand out my hand and lift somebody up.
Well, trust me, it's
like
coming.
They've done for me. So.
Well, trust me, it's coming. I want to thank you again.
Yes, thank you
for coming in, because I know you're a busy person, and I don't take anything for granted. And I want everybody that's listening to understand how important it is that you hit that subscribe button, because we are sharing messages that are going to help people that we don't even know. So I'm going to wrap the show up the same way I do every week. Every day you're blessed to see. You got to look like somebody, and do that for yourself. See you next week.